Hi, good morning, Mr. Mukinge. First of all, thank you for being my willing test subject for providing some video feedback. Forgive that my hair isn't cute. It was a rushed morning and it was cold. So anyway, thank you for letting me come into your classroom this morning. You always let me come in to do a whole bunch of different things, and please trust and believe that I'm building up towards having my fourth block sing and dance party, but nobody else can come, just me. Like, I don't even know that I want you to be there. Anywho, okay, let me get on subject because I don't want the videos to be very long. All right, so you called me up, or you didn't call me up, but I came up because I wanted to see the young lady that you suspected was having some reading difficulties. And so I'm going to talk about that young lady and maybe some strategies that we can use to make sure that she is, meeting some level of success in your classroom, and hopefully building enough confidence so that she can have success in every classroom, because I would imagine, based on what I saw, that she's probably struggling in more than just your class. So anyway, I wanted to start though with the young man who you said has been on lesson -1A for about 3 days now. He's the young man that sits across from Brandon, and they do a lot of talking. I wrote notes, see them, and I'll email them to you too. But I wrote notes. You saw me doing that, so just know that I'm just reading from my notes. So anyway, my first suggestion for that young man is that you actually call his parents if you have not already. They may just want to know that a large part of the reason that he may or may not pass your class is that he's spending a lot of time talking unnecessarily. I don't assume that you haven't done that, because we know that that's just good teaching practice. But just in the case that you haven't, that would be my suggestion, is that you go ahead and give the parents a call. One, they may be able to do some intervention. Two, you've covered yourself by saying, hey, he didn't do his work, but I did reach out to the parents. Move his seat too. If he's sitting there and he's talking to Brandon, remove the stimulus. When I wrote that, I typed in my notes, also consider moving his seat. Don't let the resignation take over. And that takes me back to the conversation that you and I had with Mr. Brown on yesterday, how often teachers here are in a place of frustration or resignation. And so I don't want you to be at a place of resignation with him where you feel like, okay, he's going to keep talking. He's going to be on the same lesson for many days, so I just leave him alone. My opinion is that we fail our kids when we resign on them. Most importantly, outside of Ms. Gore's opinion, I did want to say that it's important that we make sure that he's not having some of the same reading comprehension problems as the other young lady. We have to rule out, other factors to make sure that it's not the same type of issue that she is having. And if we don't rule out the possibility that he truly is not doing his work because he's doing a whole bunch of talking, we may not know. So I think what I'm trying to say is move him so that he's not talking, so that and see if that causes an increase in his productivity in your class. And if you move him and he's still having struggles, then we may identify some other issue. So anyway, so those are just my suggestions about that young man. I love that you have a lunchtime tutorial, and that you make sure that your students are aware of that. That is going to make a huge difference, because you're providing them with an opportunity to come and get the extra help that they need, because you're one person with students at different levels in your classroom. So offering that additional support is going to be important. One suggestion for improving that practice would be to perhaps make the general announcement like you did, but then also go over to the young lady who's having the literacy challenges, and also go to the young man who's doing a lot of talking, and make sure that you kind of give them that personal invite. So again, that's almost, a way that you cover yourself. But also it does give that opportunity. Imagine if that young man came during lunch without Brandon, maybe he wouldn't talk so much, and maybe he would sit down and actually get his work done. So that's just my suggestion. You know how I feel about it. You can take it or not, and I promise you, I don't feel any kind of way. All right, so the young lady who has the obvious challenges with her reading abilities. My suggestion for how you can help her to grow and improve in your class actually involves the explicit instruction model. And, I almost didn't want to say that, because I don't want you to think that, I'm saying it because I'm promoting, the company line. But because I've read a lot of the research on the explicit instruction model, particularly how it's effective with students who have those reading and comprehension issues, or, a host of other challenges that our students do have, I'm going to talk about her in the frame of the explicit instruction model. So again, looking at my notes, and I'll just read to you what I wrote here so that I don't continue to ramble. So while the other students are working independently on the assignment, my suggestion is that you go back through that explicit instruction framework with her individually. So you've got the rest of them, you've gone through your lesson, and you've already, given them the direct explanation. Here's what we're going to do and why we're going to do it. You have modeled for them, this is what the program looks like. Here are the different places. Here's the tray. Here's how you slide something into that tray. You've already done that for the whole group, and you've moved on to where they're at the point where they should be sitting with that book and following those steps, right? So you have this young lady, though, who doesn't know how to do it. So while everyone else is sort of working independently and, making their mistakes and figuring out how to fix their mistakes, you should go back to her and actually scale back, go back through that explicit instruction framework with her. So tell her again, one-on-one, like, here's why we're doing this. Now, let me show you, and one of the things that we don't talk about a lot, I think, in those professional development trainings is the concept of repetition. And so with a student like that who's having those types of challenges, using the explicit instruction framework and then also doing it repeatedly, that can only help to grow her as a student. So again, that's my main suggestion. You actually do the whole class instruction, but while they are doing independent practice, maybe focus your attention in on her and let the time that you're spending with her be spent on doing those behaviors that teachers do in the explicit instruction framework. So I came up with that because when I was standing over there with her, I asked her what step she was on, and she just pointed out a random step. It was like number 6. But then she told me she was stuck. And so I was like, well, let's go back to step 5 and see, did you do that correctly? And she couldn't confirm or deny whether or not she'd done step 5 correctly. And so I just kept backing her up and backing her up and backing her up until we were back at step 1. And so what that let me know, Mr. Mukinge, is that she hadn't caught the whole group lesson. Like she couldn't tell me anything. Now, I'm a teacher at heart. And so what I wanted to do at that point was to actually run her through the explicit instruction model. I wanted to show her, hey, this is how you do it. But I don't know the content like you do, so I couldn't really help her out with that. But I believe that, my time with her hopefully is helpful for you as you have to continue to work with her and with students who have those same challenges that she has. So that's all I have. Again, thank you. I appreciate you letting me come into your classroom all the time, and for all the different reasons. I appreciate that you come to work every day, that you come to work, and that you give your students the best that you can give to them. You know, I've told you this before, but I also appreciate, you know, your straightforward manner in dealing with them, because that's important. Someone's got to tell them the truth. In fact, that is part of the academic achievement plan. Oh, I sound like a company woman, don't I? Don't mean to, but it's in there. And it is that, you know, our students are not aware of their own challenges. And because they're not aware of their own challenges, I personally believe that we have to be honest with them about, you know, their performance and their behavior. And I think that of the teachers that I know and am, you know, allowed to observe, I think that you're one of the ones who does that consistently. So, all right, finally, so that this doesn't go to 11 minutes, thank you for the tip. The example of how I can bootleg a standing desk. You'll see behind me, I already cleared all that stuff off the top of my filing cabinet because it's going to be on and popping. So anyway, let's talk later about the observation. All right.